So in D tier, I'm going to have to put Belly. Total pacifist. She barely has the mental capability to hurt someone, and it's downright sad seeing her in battle. Her attacks come out so slowly, are highly uncoordinated, predictable, and easily avoided. She is flexible, so she has some durability, and her vitality is through the roof. But without a good offense, she's left dead in the water and needs team support to thrive. In which case, she can give allies a good morale boost, but even then, any team would prefer to have a support which can actually do something along with that morale boost. In her current state, she's a joke character. Unless a patch comes out completely reworking her character or she's somehow buffed in the second game, I don't see Belly ever becoming anywhere close to a prominent threat in the meta. Right after Belly is going to be Jessie. Now, Jessie wouldn't have any qualms over hurting someone unlike Belly, which is a huge plus, but that's about all she has over her Indian friend. No body strength due to a terrible diet, and a generally unhealthy lifestyle leaves Jessie one of the weakest girls physically in the entire game. That being said, Jessie does have the seduction perk, which means there's a high chance male or lesbian opponents will be unable to harm her. However, this ability is fairly situational as it only works on Lola and Keanu. Not to mention, Tiffany gains a berserk status whenever in combat with Jessie, meaning Jessie has terrible to downright one-sided matchups across the board. Combined with her older age, poor physique, and lack of any proper skills outside of psychological manipulation, she's only slightly above Belly. Last in the dick tier is Venus. Venus outclasses Jessie in almost every way. Healthy lifestyle, young for her species, is the best user of seduction in the game, and actually synergizes very well with Keanu in double battles. However, her experience in fighting is something to be desired, and it shows in her playstyle. Her clothing along with her massive tits are more of a hindrance in mobility than anything, but that's not to say she's completely terrible. She has intimidation for an ability, high confidence making risky plays more effective, acrobatics, and has definitely picked up some knowledge of human anatomy thanks to her job. Unfortunately, she just doesn't have any good techniques to back up her decent overall stats. She did make a guest appearance in Super Smash Bros, but even then she just hanged around the bottom tier, which is a shame, because she could easily be B or even A tier if she just had some decent combat moves. Oh well. First in the cunt tier is Nikki. Nikki has damn near unparalleled fighting knowledge. Her ability to find weak spots in an opponent is helpful to say the least, and her nimble body lends a hand in making her a fantastic double support. Nikki's game is to analyze her opponent, recognize the fighting style, and let her teammate know the best tactics they can use to take them out, while dodging any attacks that come her way. This sounds great, but there's a reason why she's in C tier. Her inability to attack at all thanks to her weak physical stats means she only works in doubles, and although she is excellent at dodging attacks, one strong blow will generally take her out. She has a niche, and she fills it incredibly well, but don't expect her to do anything else. Next is my personal favorite and my own main, Audrey. Audrey is the definition of hit and run. High energy, high spirit, and high speed makes it insanely fun to run around your opponent while hitting them for chip damage every chance you get. Even if you get hit, Audrey can take a couple of hits before going down thanks to her high spirit. Combined with her being a total fucking bitch, she's hard to get rid of. Interestingly, Audrey is the only character who's so skilled at enraging the opponent that she can make them use all of their skills or energy in an attempt to get rid of her early on in a fight. If you can pull that off, it's a practically guaranteed win. She even has good matchups against some of the top tier threats in this list, but, and I hate to say this, her damage output is less than stellar. Chip damage is incredibly weak. Any character that can keep their cool, tank some damage, and keep track of Audrey long enough to get a few hits in will be able to take her out. Oddly enough, Belly actually counters Audrey pretty hard. That's not to say she's useless, just very hard to use effectively. Third in the C tier is Keanu. Keanu is nothing remarkable at first. More than below average stats and little combat knowledge would make any player dismiss Keanu at first glance. But Keanu is unique in that she is the only character with not only flight, but also invisibility. Keanu has near uncontested air and stealth dominance, but that's all she has. Low power, low intelligence, and only slightly higher than average speed, along with basically no other perks, means that every Keanu player will be doing the same thing, positioning yourself using stealth and flight in such a way where you can hit your opponent, while they can't hit you. With proper spacing and positioning, it's possible to come out of a fight without taking any hits at all, but Keanu tends to fail against players who can counter this strategy with their own proper spacing. Despite what I've been making it sound like, she isn't terrible by any means, and can be great fun to play. Moving on to the big bouncy boob tier, we have Eiko. Highest intelligence stat in the game. No debuffing or status moves can affect her in the slightest, and she can fight back with psychological moves such as taunting, tricking, tormenting, and countless other moves that can seriously mess up an opponent's ability to fight. Although she isn't the strongest physically, she can disorient an opponent so hard that it doesn't matter. Combined with her martial arts training, and you have a damn scary fighter on both fronts. That being said, her spirit is incredibly low. Unreasonably low, downright detrimentally low. Once Eiko starts to lose, you're done. She'll keep losing because of her defeatist attitude, and without that crippling trait, Eiko would easily be top tier, but that's not how the world works. Keep in mind that on any other character, that downside would make them useless, so it just goes to show how strong she is early game. You're going to have to be extremely careful when using Eiko, but if you can, oh boy will it pay off. Next is a surprising one. Tiffany. Tiffany seems really standard at first, and she is, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Having decent stats all around means having no glaring weaknesses. She's a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none type character. She's perfect for beginners, but that doesn't mean she's useless once you get better at the game. She has a diverse moveset and many techniques that a proper master could take advantage of, making her a terrifying foe. She's a perfect example of easy to pick up but hard to master, and is probably the most balanced character in the game. Tiffany feels like the first character they thought of and then created other characters based around her standard skill set. If you're just picking up the game, just learning how to play, then I highly recommend Tiffany. Who knows? Maybe she'll just end up being your favorite. Following Tiffany is Keanu. Her fighting style is boxing, which may seem limiting at first, but that'll change once you realize she has fantastic physical stats thanks to her daily workouts. Sure, mobility may take a hit, leaving her vulnerable to faster characters such as Audrey, but she can tank hits like a champ and dish out hits just as well. She's incredibly effective at punishing new players who'll just spam random attacks at her with no thought thanks to her tanking prowess. And even though she's harder to play at higher level matches, she's still a force to be reckoned with. She's extremely effective at what she does, but she doesn't do anything else. So the chance of catching your opponent off guard with some weird, unexpected strategy is low. However, if you're okay with sacrificing that mobility and variety, you'll end up with a character who can end fights very quickly if played right. First up in the anal tier is Lola, who's unique in that she is the only character with access to a Glock, meaning she's easily the most effective range character in the game. Back in the early alpha days, the Glock was broken, able to kill every character in just 1 or 2 shots, but since then her bullets have been replaced with cheese curds, heavily reducing their damage. But they still pack a punch with enough shots nevertheless. She's not terrible up close either. She's not the strongest, but her vitality and energy are surprisingly high. That being said, you still want to avoid close encounters when possible, as it is her biggest counter. That and her unique playstyle means you're going to be spending a long time learning how to play her before she starts becoming more effective than Tiffany or any other standard character. But if you're patient and train long enough, Lola will not disappoint. You might be surprised to see Momo so high up. That's because Momo is the definition of glass cannon. She is the most min-max character in this list, with absurdly high speed and damage output thanks to her cat-like reflexes, speed, and claws, but she has the downside of only being able to take a couple of hits before being taken out. Most players dismiss Momo because they don't see the full potential of that high mobility. But low defense doesn't matter when you can't be hit. She is easily the hardest character to pick up, let alone master, and only a few select players at high-level tournaments have been able to use her effectively. But if you ever want the taste of raw power, consider giving Momo a shot. You'll be surprised at just how terrifying she can be. Moving on from A tier into S tier with this tier's only inhabitant, Celeste. Oh boy. Celeste is busted. downright ludicrous stats across the board, Celeste is easily the most overpowered character in this game. Every perk you can think of: acrobatics, intimidation, seduction. She even has a laser blaster to rival Lola's Glock. And I know I said Lola was the only ranged character, but I was being tricky, because Celeste is so broken that she was banned from all official tournaments. She has no weaknesses and no bad matchups. She's the reverse joke character of Belly, where you can only use her in a fight if you just want to meme with some friends or have fun with a broken character. So if you want to play Celeste, just keep in mind you'll never be able to play competitively, or probably with anyone who actually wants to play with you seriously. In the Keanu Plushie tier, we have Keanu Plushie, who Keanu Plushie, 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 Keanu